I'm going to talk about what I learned through blogging this term. So I really enjoyed blogging weekly. This is the first time in my life I've ever blogged weekly. And even though I've had this blog since, let's go all the way down. Yeah, I've had this blog since 2007, but I've never blogged weekly. Sometimes it was once a month, sometimes it was once every few months. So this was a really good opportunity for me to learn how to get my ideas down weekly. And the content that we learned, it was nice to kind of reflect on it on a weekly basis. So one of the neat things that I really enjoyed about this class was that we were supposed to quote people in our blogs. And so this is the first time I've ever done this. There was a lot of other times where I maybe brought in hyperlinks or I threw in some videos or things like that, but I really liked the challenge to find and read our own classmates' blog entries and then put them into our own blog. So even here, I talk about Jen Stewart Mitchell and her blog post, and I connected it to some of the things that I was learning about. So I really liked that challenge on the blogging. I think it was really important, and I think going forward, that's something that I'll do a lot more is incorporate other people's blog posts in my links to my own blog. One of the ways that I felt really stretched through blogging was through the creativity aspect. So I'm going to look at this blog post, my own story of remix. So even though I felt like this wasn't an original creation for me, watching the RIP a Remix manifesto, watching that video really inspired me, and it made me think about my own ways that I remix. So I was able to reflect through this blog post on some of the ways that I've remixed stuff for cheerleading in the past. And I actually had the opportunity to download or to sign up for a SoundCloud account this week, and then I looked at the editor that I use, which is Goldwave, and then I basically combined that and showed how I use Remix and put it into routines to kind of create an art, which is kind of what I feel like the narrator in the documentary was talking about as well. That Girl Talk, the band, used his remixing to create a new art. So I connected with that, and then I also signed up for a Vimeo account this week because I had some issues with copyright with YouTube. So it was a really good learning experience creatively to look at how I could use different tools for my own skills. And that said too, if I go all the way to my post, I'm going to go back. Remixing education, a report card rant. That was also a really good creative outlet that week for me. So I watched Larry Lessig's TED Talk and was really inspired by not only the content, but actually how he spoke. It was very fluid and he had kind of a rhythm to his message. So I actually decided that week to create my own spoken word, I guess, video. So I was able to put that in.
Report cards. A paper that's produced primarily by the teacher, a century-old practice that has judging kids as its main feature.
So that was kind of fun. So I got to play around a little bit with, I guess, well, just video, but the neat thing was it was taking what Larry was talking about and incorporating it in both a remixed way and also using some of the tools that we had been talking about. So that was kind of fun. One of the things that I feel like I still need to work on, something that I feel like I didn't do the best maybe this semester, is really incorporating, I guess, master's level thinking or content into my blog post. So I felt very creative this semester. I felt like I had a lot of opportunities to discuss the content, but it wasn't always, I feel like the blogging, I found it a hard balance to find how I was going to really discuss the philosophical depth to some of the content and put it into a blog post. So I found myself being very creative, but not always really journeying deeply into the content. So that's something that I'd like to work on. I'd like to maybe find a balance a little bit more with showing less creativity and less, almost being less pragmatic, and look at some issues and some content in a little bit more depth. And I saw some of my other classmates doing that a little bit more, and I think that's inspired me. So that's something that I feel like I still need to work on through the post, or through my blogging. but it was a really great opportunity to just practice blogging. As you can see, I've got a lot of tags that I've used over the years, but mainly the ones that I used this term were ECI 832 or ECI 832 Final Project, and then just due to the nature of my project, I was using things like cultural or privilege, different, I guess, topics. One last thing I'm really going to just touch on really quickly is this blog is very simple for the most part. It's just, I've got an about me that explains a tiny little snippet of myself and ways that they can contact me on Twitter, but it just has my content and it's all throughout just the topics or the archives. Those are really the only ways that people can find my content on this blog unless it's searchable through Google, whereas the difference between, I'll show you my class blog, and that's a conscious choice. I really want the content on my blog to be the most important thing rather than the looks, I guess, because there's a lot of looks on this blog. It's a little bit more visual appealing. I've got videos on my homepage. This is a static homepage that everybody coming to this class blog sees all the time. So I purposely have made my personal blog a little bit more content heavy and less cutesy, I guess. I don't even have I have a shelf RE on my class blog or even my Twitter account or cluster maps, things like that. And I have chosen not to do that on my own personal blog. And that's just a personal choice that I've made to really highlight the content that I have there. So I love it, loved blogging this semester, and I really appreciated the opportunity to work on this skill in my life.